This week we're going to have a look at Excel spreadsheets. So we're going to learn the components of the spreadsheets, how to enter functions and formulas, style and format options, the different types of addressing, and about charts. There are two versions of Excel you could be using for this lab. If you have the app, you could feel free to use that. If you do not have the app, that is okay. There's a free version of Excel found at office.com. You would just need a Microsoft account if you don't already have one to run it. You can use either one you like. I'm going to be demonstrating on the free version. So if you wanted everything that you do to look the same as what I'm doing, you would be wanting to use the free web version. To get started with, there's going to be a spreadsheet that we're going to open here. You click on this link to save it. You'll need to save the file. That places it in your downloads. All you have to do is drag that spreadsheet onto this website, office.com, after you've signed in. It'll take a minute to load. And this will be the spreadsheet that we start with. So we'll go over what the basic components of a spreadsheet are. This whole thing is called a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet is a table in which you enter and manipulate data. Every cell or every box on this spreadsheet is referred to as a cell. And cells are named by column, which are the vertical components, which are indicated by the letter, and then a row, which are the horizontal components indicated by numbers. So if I was referring to the cell with FedEx in it, this would be A5. If I was referring to this one, this would be D8. You can have a group of cells called a range. That's just multiple cells at the same time. I could have a range horizontally. This would be A5 to D5. I could have a range vertically. This would be A5 to A8. And I could have a range as a box. This would be A5 to D8. Starts from the top left corner, ends in the bottom right. Cells can contain a few different things. They can have labels, which would be text that describes what's in the boxes. They can have numbers, which would just be a number in a box. They can have functions, which we'll go over in more detail later. And they can also have formulas. So the difference between a function and a formula is a function's a recipe that you would put a range of cells into and it would give you an answer. Well, a formula is more of an algebraic expression where you use numbers, operators. You can use other references to cells. You can use ranges, or you could even put in functions. So if you had 2 plus 2 times 10, that would be a formula. If you had sum A1 to A5, that would be a function. So you can move between boxes in your spreadsheet using different keyboard shortcuts. Like tab will move you around. I usually just use the arrow keys to move around. And you can also just click on the cell you want to go to. When you click on a cell or select a cell, it highlights in green. You want to be careful when you're entering functions and formulas because as you start doing so, if you were to click out of it, it will often just try to add the box that you clicked on instead of leaving that cell. So whenever you're entering data, make sure you're hitting the enter key to indicate that you're finished entering data. If you wanted to view or edit the contents of a cell, you can click on it and look at the formula bar at the top. So if I click on the cell in B11, the formula is right here. You can see what's actually in this box is equals sum B5, B8, which is adding up these boxes and putting the total here. So what makes Excel useful is that there is a function called filling, which allows you to take what's in a box and copy it to nearby cells. So here we have sum B5 to B8. If I also wanted the sum in C and D, I can select the cell. In the bottom right corner, there's a green rectangle, green square. If I hover over that, I get a black target sign. If I click and drag to the right 2 spaces, that will actually fill this function to the right. So it'll automatically start adding up this column and this column without me having to rewrite that formula. Filling will be very useful to you both on your assignment and on the lab test, so you'll want to make sure that you understand how that works.